Now, it's no surprise that a lot of people don't want Trump, but a lot of people also don't want Biden. According to new polls, few U.S. adults will be satisfied with a Biden-Trump rematch. As one voter put it, this is probably the most uniquely horrible choice I've had in my life. Spoken like a man who's never had to choose a bathroom stall at the Port Authority.
Yes, local New York City jokes. They think everybody lives in New York because pretty much their entire audience does. Kind of like MSDNC. Uniquely, but now they're lumping in Biden with Trump as a uniquely terrible choice, and that means that Joe Biden is in big trouble with his own party, because eventually they kill their own too. They hate everybody, and now they hate Joe Biden because he's somebody. The radical left-wing extremists at Mediaite who worship Hitler. With the headline, Biden hits record low approval rating in brutal new poll. Brutal? It's a brutal new poll. That's what they say. And that means it's bad. In fact, it's so brutal that Kamala Harris does 1 point better in approval than Joe Biden. And they know that that's not where you want to be, because they know that she can't string together a sentence to save her life. She couldn't read a fortune cookie out loud. She's not the brightest bulb in the constellation. She is, boy, oh boy. And also the radical left-wing extremists, Biden upset. The word upset is in quotation marks for some reason. Biden upset over polls showing he would lose to Trump. You can imagine how upset he'd be about that. Hillary lost to Trump. And then, we had this other election. Oh, yeah, speaking of which, the Washington Times today has the front page story above the fold. In record use of mail-in ballots for 2020 elections, 21% admit to voter fraud. That's the headline. Washington Times, not the Washington Post. They don't cover that. Poll shreds, quote, most secure in history, end quote, claim. Mallory Wilson writing the story for the Washington Times. We have good newspapers in Washington, D.C. We have the Washington Times. We have the Washington Examiner. We have the Washington Free Beacon. And we have the Washington Post. That is not a good paper. Every day in the Washington Post, they have stories about how bad the Jews are and how good the terrorists are. They love the terrorists. You know why? Because the Democrats all have gone full anti-Semite. Even their Jews are anti-Semites now. It's pretty weird. Yeah, wipe out the Jews. But you're Jewish. What? Hey? Yeah, now you're with Hamas? Sure. A survey has discovered that 1 in 5 voters who used mail-in ballots in the 2020 presidential election admitted to committing mail fraud, voter fraud, in an election where about 43% of voters used mail-in ballots, the highest percentage in U.S. history. 21% told the pollsters that they filled out a ballot in part or in full for a friend or family member. That is illegal in all states. The survey by the Conservative Heartland Institute and Rasmussen Reports also found that 17% of mail-in voters said they voted in a state where they no longer lived permanently. That means you can't vote there. That's illegal too. Another 17% said they signed a ballot or ballots envelope for a friend or family member. Those acts constitute fraud and would invalidate the ballots if caught. Now, that's kind of a big deal, and those numbers are big numbers. And there is another story today about Washington, D.C. Perhaps you've heard of it. Washington, D.C. and voter fraud there. And the Democrats are in a panic now because, they've got bad poll numbers. They do. NBC Fake News has the story. It won't appear on TV. Elected official among 6 D.C. residents fined for double voting in 2020. Here we go again, and this is NBC fake news. It won't be on TV, but they put it on their website, the online thing. Elected official among 6 D.C. residents who were fined, nothing more, for double voting, that is to say voting twice, in 2020. The District of Columbia Board of Elections fined Vanessa Rubio $500, no relation, $500 for voting in different jurisdictions in that year's general election. Now, I know that your average Democrat is not very smart, and I grew up in Chicago, so I know a lot about Democrats, voting more than once and dead Democrats voting and things. A local official in Washington, D.C. was one of 6 people fined and nothing more this month, just this month alone, by D.C.'s City Board of Elections for double voting. And who do you think they voted for twice? In the 2020 general election, Vanessa Rubio, an elected member of the advisory neighborhood committees. She's an advisory, the ANC, we call it. It's kind of one step below the city council, neighborhood advisory committees. And Vanessa Rubio, an elected advisory neighborhood commissioner, was fined $500 after the District of Columbia Board of Elections found that she had voted in both D.C. and Maryland. And this is just fine. And she's an elected official and obviously a Democrat. Don't be ridiculous. The panel said she told them that she did vote in person in D.C. in the 2020 general election, but that she did not recall voting. She didn't recall voting. Did I vote? I can't remember. My brain isn't a very good brain. I have no idea what I did just minutes ago. And that is a guaranteed Democrat voter right there. So great stuff. She said she did vote in person in D.C. in the 2020 general election, but she did not recall voting in Maryland. Sure. But you voted in Maryland, and here's your signature, and you voted. I don't remember voting in Maryland and in D.C. Every day's an IQ test. After being shown her signature on a voting card from Maryland, Rubio, quote, acknowledged that the signature was hers, albeit a sloppier version of her own signature. Let's see, thinking there's a lot of sloppy going on in your life. It's a sloppier version. Said it was possible. She said it's possible she voted there, but didn't recall doing so. Finally, Ms. Rubio, she's Ms., not, Miss or anything like that. Finally, Ms. Rubio stated that it was never really stated that you're not able to vote in more than one state. That's her defense, that she's so dumb that she thought you could vote in more than one state and vote twice because she's a Democrat. They fined her $500 and then probably deferred the payment of the $500. Finally, Ms. Rubio said she was, they're quoting her now, never really stated that you were not able to vote in more than one state. That's what she said. And that she thought if one attempted to do so, the system would block one from doing so. Well, that's not what happens. That's your Democrat Party right there. Rubio did not respond to requests for comment on Monday, nor will she, because she doesn't have to. See how that goes? Now, let's go to the poll numbers, because the Democrats are very upset. They're having a panic. It's sexual in nature. You really don't want to know any more about it than that. But the radical left-wingers at Mediaite, Biden hits record low approval rating in brutal new poll. I don't know why I always think of History of the World Part 1 when I see the word brutal. President Biden on Monday hit a record low job approval in the Monmouth University poll, sinking to a dismal 34%. That's not very good if you're planning on winning the presidency. The poll found that 61% of those polled disapproved of the job Joe Biden is doing as president. With the 2024 presidential election now less than a year away, it's the permanent campaign. It goes on forever and ever. The Democrats created the permanent campaign in the United States. They're very happy about that. In June of 2022, Biden had hit a low of 36% in the poll, which found his highest approval rating at 54% in January and April of 2021, just after taking office. That's because of the propaganda apparatus that the Democrat Party has secured. We call that the mainstream media. That's the media. That's their propaganda apparatus. And late night TV and Saturday Night Live and The View and George Stephanopoulos and Chunk Todd, the propagandist. So the approval rating is terrible, and they're very distraught about this. Even Barack Obama is saying, even James Carville is saying, Joe Biden probably not going to win, and that means that he is literally in physical danger. There's been a lot of talk. It came up on my Newsmax show last night, too, a little bit. A lot of talk about the state of politics in America and President Trump. And if President Trump is beating Biden in the polls, then both of them are in danger. Joe Biden is in physical danger, potentially grave danger. Don't let Hillary Clinton near him. She is a killer. And President Trump, if the left believes that President Trump can win re-election, then he is most certainly in grave danger. And some people are talking very, very openly, but I've been talking about the danger that, not wanting to be on President Trump's personal security detail and what a job that would be, because President Trump loves to, ignore the threats, the security issues. He likes to go in and meet people and be in crowds and all of that stuff. President Trump, as long as he is beating Biden in the polls, he is in a great deal of danger as President of the United States and as a candidate. There is no doubt about it. Now, the next story is Biden upset over polls showing he would lose to Trump. And it's the left-wing media feeding the left-wing media. The Washington Post started this. President Biden is, quote, upset, end quote, over a string of polls suggesting that he could lose the 2024 election to former President Donald Trump, according to a new report in the Washington Post. The Real Clear Politics average of surveys testing how rematch between Biden and Trump might play out indicates that Trump has a solid 3.5-point lead over Biden. Biden leads Trump in just one of the last 10 polls measuring the hypothetical match, besting Trump by 1 point in the NPR PBS poll, National Panhandler Radio, Panhandler Broadcasting System. And they're a biased poll, a skewed poll, of course. And the polls show Trump beating Biden in swing states everywhere you look. Even more ominous for Biden is his dismal standing in critical battleground states. A Bloomberg Morning Consult poll found just last week that the incumbent, that's Biden, trailed the Republican frontrunner, that's Trump, in Wisconsin by 4 points, Georgia by 6 points, Michigan by 4 points. They got the jihadis. A lot of jihadis are upset with Biden there because he doesn't want to kill all the Jews. Pennsylvania by 2 points, Nevada by 3 points, North Carolina by 9 points, and Arizona by 4 points. And the Democrats are very, very upset about this. Very upset indeed. The leftists at Axios, part of the propaganda apparatus of the international left and Hamas, they too, Biden's private resistance to acknowledging how his age limits him. This is another one that they're all spun up about too. And I've got more on this because Kamala Harris is beating him. That's the death knell right there. We're in the middle of the holidays, aren't we? And Christmas, tick, 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 coming right up. Time to let Omaha Steaks take the guesswork out of gifting this year. Shop carefully curated gift packages guaranteed to make spirits bright all winter long. All you have to do is go to omahasteaks.com. You're going to save 50% off the entire website. Plus, when you check out, you use my last name, Planty, at checkout. Get another $30 off your order. Come on, cut it out. What a deal. You're going to be the hero of the holiday dinner table when you give the gift of Omaha Steaks. Michael Piercy was cooking burgers last night. He did tell me he's the hero of the family with the Omaha Steaks. You can get the butcher's cut filet mignons, the beautiful burgers that the Michael Piercy family enjoyed last night with the Omaha Steaks. The possibilities are endless, limitless. This offer is not going to last forever, though. Go to omahasteaks.com. They're ready to ship your order right away. Beat the shipping rush. Go to omahasteaks.com. Use the promo code PLANT at checkout. Omaha Steaks is a gift from the heart, a gift that will be remembered. Every unforgettable bite, every delicious bite, every wonderful bite. Order with complete confidence today, knowing you're ordering the very best. Visit omahasteaks.com. Take 50% off everything site-wide and $30 off at checkout when you use my last name. A minimum order may be required. Yes, sir. Yeah, and James Carville is now going. Barack Obama is out with the long knives after Biden. That means he's toast. He's done for. Crazy. And I've got a poll on the economy. What do we all think of Bidenomics and how the economy's doing, stupid? Hey, it's Chris Plant, excited to tell you about our July 2024 Listener Sea Cruise. We'll be sailing around the British Isles, visiting Scotland and Ireland. Please join us. Visit chrisplantcruise.com.
Now be cruel, be brutal, because heaven knows they will.
I was corrected. I said brutal was from History of the World, and I was corrected. My friend Barry weighed in and said, that wasn't History of the World. That was the producers. And so I had to correct that. I'm not CNN. I can't let these inaccuracies just go unaddressed. That was, of course, Roger Debris. He was on his way out. He was the director of Springtime for Hitler. And what was he dressed as? Queen Victoria? Is that what it was? It was Archduke Anastasia. It was somebody like that. Roger Debris. Be brutal. Heaven knows they will be. Yeah. Don't make movies like that anymore. You know, Mel Brooks is supposed to be making History of the World Part 2 at the age of 98 or something like that, which would be welcome news. Be maybe the last funny movie that Hollywood would ever make. Roger Debris. Yes, sir. All right, that's it. Because Joe Biden, he is they're in a panic. Biden is reluctant to accept his quote old age, aides say, because he's Joe Biden. Joe Biden's reluctance to acknowledge his physical limitations at age 81, causing some tension on his team. Got tension on his team. You can only imagine. Lots of polls, lots of bad news for Democrats and the economy, of course, which is not going well. They lie all the time that it is going well. I heard people lying last night about gas prices have gone down 3 times in the last 4 months. Yeah, but Joe Biden drove them up to like $9 a gallon or something like that. He drove them up to literally the highest gas prices in the history of the United States of America. And then it ticks down a little bit, and they say, oh, look, gas prices are down again. Yeah. I went and I looked this up because I remember things, and the Washington Post doesn't. But gas prices under President Trump, and I love these radical left-wing, a front group for the Democrat Party is Snopes. Snopes, a fact checker, right? Did U.S. gas prices drop below $2 under Trump? I know the answer to that. You know the answer to that. The answer is yes. They want you to forget gas was under $2 when Trump was in office, one Twitter user posted. President Trump has been fact-checked by liars again and again at the Washington Post and other liars because he said, oh, yeah, gas was, $1.86 under me. And they fact-check him and they say, and then they pull a trick on you. They say, no, on on Inauguration Day, the day that Joe Biden was sworn in, and that was President Trump's last day in office, first time around, gas prices were over $2, and they weren't $1.86. But that's not what Trump said. He didn't say on Inauguration Day, and I've pointed this out many times before. Gas prices started going up the day that Joe Biden was declared the winner because he had declared war on us and on energy and on cheap and abundant energy, which is what a prosperous society runs on. But the left is against us and against that. So I went to the radical left-wingers at Snopes, who are no friends of the Republican Party, and they lie a lot. So the claim that national gas prices average regular gallon of gas below $2 during U.S. President Donald Trump's term in office. And the radical left-wingers at Snopes declare that true. Of course it's true. In early October 2022, we received inquiries from readers asked if it was true that the national average for gas price, a gallon of gas, dropped below $2 during President Donald Trump's term in office after reviewing credible data. They didn't look at the data that's not credible. We can confirm this is true. $1.84 per gallon, April of 2020. That was election year, $1.84 a gallon. And the left-wingers at Snopes were forced to admit it because it's obviously true. Figures on the U.S. Energy Information Administration, they abbreviate that as EIA, naturally. Who calls it EIA? Shut up. Their website showed an average price of $1.84 a gallon for regular fuel in April, the whole month of 2020 election year. In the same month, the Associated Press reported a similar price of $1.86, citing AAA as their source. The American Automobile Association, another abbreviation. And, that's the fact. And an election year. And then Joe Biden won, and the energy companies knew, they didn't have to be told again, that Joe Biden was going to declare war on them, and things weren't going to go very well from that point on. So the gas prices started going up. Now the troglodytes, the Houthi rebels in Yemen, are attacking shipping there, and that's one of the gateways to the Suez Canal. And oil companies have announced they're going to start going around the Horn of Africa now instead of going past Yemen, and that's going to cause gas prices to spike. And Democrats are happy about that because they're not on our side. They're not on our side. Now, ABC News called President Trump Hitler again last night, while the armies of Democrats marched in the streets calling for the genocide of the Jews and to wipe Israel off the map from the river to the sea. No sense of irony, these people. They ought to be wearing armbands. And it reminded me, Michael and I were talking, of the Democrat presidential historian Michael Beschloss, who is a regular on MSDNC. And in 2022, last year during the midterm elections, Michael Beschloss, an award-winning presidential historian, was on MSDNC, the cable television channel that no one watches outside of the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And he said if the Republicans win in the midterm elections, that the Republicans will kill your children. Now, this is the party of Planned Parenthood, and they harvest the organs of 40% of the black babies who don't make it to that 400 out of every 1,000 African-American pregnancies is terminated, and the Democrats give out awards for that. The award has the name of a racist eugenicist on it, Margaret Sanger. Hillary Clinton proudly displays one at her home. Michael Beschloss promising that if the Republicans won Congress in the midterm elections, that bad things would happen, including the Republicans murdering your children.
What was at stake tonight and this week was the fact whether we will be a democracy in the future, whether our children will be arrested and conceivably killed. We're on the edge of a brutal authoritarian system, and it could be a week away.
Brutal? Says back to Roger Debris being brutal in The Producers and not History of the World Part 1. Amazing stuff. That's what they tell you. And if you watch MSNBC, you're out marching in the streets saying, kill the Jews, wipe Israel off the map. And you're part of that polling group. More than half of young Americans 18 to 24 are just out of the closet. They're on the side of radical Islam and the jihad, and they're genocidal anti-Semites, and they plan on voting for Joe Biden. or whoever the hell the Democrats throw up. It could be Adolf Hitler and they'd vote for him. Just amazing. Now, let's go to the economy because this matters. Fox News poll, only 14% of us say that we have been helped by Biden's economic policies. 14%. 78% of voters, 78% of voters say the economy is in bad shape. Worse by 9 points since Biden took office. Honestly, Joe Biden and Bidenomics, if Bidenomics are helping you, you must be a billionaire or something. By a 32-point margin, more voters feel they have been hurt rather than helped by President Biden's economic policies. You know, it's the old James Carville thing. It's the economy, stupid. That goes back to the Clinton days and James Carville, the ragin' Cajun who's mentally disturbed. In addition, since the beginning of his term as president, negative views of the economy and dissatisfaction with the way things are going in the country have increased substantially, according to the latest Fox News national survey. Views among Democrats contribute to those declining sentiments. The survey finds 68% of voters feel unhappy with how things are going in the country, up from 53% early in Biden's term. Much of that 15-point rise in dissatisfaction comes from a 27-point increase among Democrats, climbing to 47% from 20% in 2021. That is to say, 47% of Democrats now say that they are dissatisfied with the direction of the country, the way things are going. All voters, 68%, 47% of Democrats, and that, again, it was 20% were dissatisfied in April of 2021 of Democrats. Now 47%, that's up 27%, because people know that we're on the wrong track. People know that the economy is bad. People know that Bidenomics not helping us, anybody, maybe the communists in China, Putin's friends in Russia, but otherwise not helping anybody, not in the United States, honestly. You see, who is it? Mark Zuckerberg built the $100 million underground bunker estate in Hawaii. Did you see this? $100 million, Mark Zuckerberg. And I still think of him as being like 26 years old or something. I guess he's not anymore. $100 million. It's an estate in Hawaii. It looks at the ocean. They're on an island. Everything looks at the ocean in Hawaii. And a lot of it is underground. And it's like a survivalist $100 million estate. Warren Buffett selling off tens of billions of dollars in stocks, raising a lot of eyebrows. Gosh, what do you think they know that we don't all know? Also, things are not going very well for the turtle. For Mitch McConnell, he's got the worst poll numbers in Washington, even worse than Biden. New poll reveals America's least favorite leader in Congress with shocking single-digit approval. And I already gave it away, it's Mitch McConnell. But the Monmouth University poll released yesterday, getting a lot of attention for a lot of different poll numbers, shows that Congress very underwater. According to the poll, just 6% of adults say that they approve of Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell's job performance. 6%. 60%, 10 times as many, say they disapprove. Now, this is in large part because all Democrats will say they disapprove him. And he has a very low, that is a 10% approval rating with Republicans. So that's what drives his numbers down. Of course, all Democrats disapprove. They would kill everybody in the country for one more seat in Congress. But why would they need one more seat in Congress if they killed everybody in the country? Don't ask questions. So McConnell is the only congressional leader with a net negative approval rating from within his own party. Fell far behind Democrat and Republican colleagues on how they're viewed by the American public. Gee, I wonder why. Here's Mitch McConnell. I'm sorry, what? Speak up. Can you move over to the microphone? You can't hear him He doesn't say anything. He's the turtle. And honestly. So just 10% of Republicans say they approved of McConnell's job performance. 41% of Republicans disapproving. 49% having no opinion because he's the turtle. Why would you even say anything about him? His approval rating was 12% in July. Now it's down to 6%. And that's because, Republicans have had enough of him too. Democrats, 100% of Democrats would say they disapprove of him because they're a jihad. Senate Majority Leader, the Lizard King, Chuck Schumer, received a 21% approval rating. And it only looks good because McConnell's approval rating is 6%. 21% is a dismal approval rating. 41% disapproving of the Lizard King, Chuck Schumer. Within his own party, Democrats, 48% approve of the Lizard King because they love reptilians. They love anybody that lies a lot and has lizard tongues and things. So we got that. On the House side, 17% say they approved of Speaker Mike Johnson, the new Republican Speaker of the House, his job performance, with 31% disapproving, 51% with no approval. I approve of him so far. I want to give him a chance, And he's articulate. That is to say, he speaks well. Is that racist to say that he's articulate? Because he is articulate. He is. And the Democrat minority leader in the House of Representatives with a 21% approval rating. We don't really like Congress these days because, what is it? Congress sucks. That's the thing about Congress these days. You know about that. And the Democrats, boy, they're not on our side at all. Yeah. Yeah, now these start, again, the front page of the Washington Times and the NBC News, voter fraud in 2021. 21% of people that had mail-in ballots. That's why Democrats love mail-in ballots. Much easier to perpetrate fraud. And that is why they love mail-in ballots. They're really mail-out ballots because they mail them out to everybody. Then they have ballot harvesting and lots of voter fraud. 21% according to the polls. And then an elected official in Washington, D.C. Oh, yeah, I voted in D.C. and Maryland. Oh, are you not supposed to do that? And what's the punishment? 6 months in jail? No, a $500 fine. Isn't that great? You're a Democrat party. All right, the Democrats ruin everything. Let's grab a quick call. Let's go to Don calling from Chicago, Illinois, who wants to, listening on the great WLS, who wants to talk about a story that I brought in today myself. Don, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, great show. I knew you would have this because you're well prepared all the time. But over the weekend, mysteriously, a 5-year-old refugee or whatever you want to call him that was being housed in an old warehouse in the city suddenly died. They rushed her to Children's Memorial, and she was pronounced dead. Yesterday, 3 more people, including 2 children, were rushed to the hospital with all kinds of weird symptoms, fever, vomiting, low body temperature. No explanation, no cause of death. Just one of those things that we're probably never going to hear the real story behind. But that's my city.
Yeah, thanks to our media. That's our media. And actually, I know that you read the story, and the 5-year-old that died is Jean Carlos Martinez, actually a boy.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. First name is Jean, Jean, so I know why you said that. 5-year-old boy dies after falling ill at Chicago migrant shelter. Jean Carlos Martinez, 5 years old, was staying at a temporary migrant shelter in Chicago. Joe Biden has this boy's blood on his hands. The Democrat Party has this boy's blood on their hands. He died Sunday after becoming sick. 5-year-olds don't really get sick and die very often. Detectives investigating what happened. And as you said, Don, more children, at least 3, and this is just what you hear about, taken to the hospital with who knows what kind of illness. We're not checking people at the border for illnesses, for viruses, for diseases that may be fatal, that may become epidemics in the United States of America and lead to who knows how many deaths. But one thing we know for sure, Don, and that is that the Democrats don't care. They don't care about the rape trees. They don't care about children. They don't care about life and death. They care about winning elections, and they care about securing their own power. Right, Don?
Well, one other thing, if I can mention, if migrant shelters in the city of Chicago are very lucrative. These empty buildings are being leased or rented to the city of Chicago at over 7 times their regular value. The empty lot that they were going to build the tent city on, that they found out was the ground was too polluted, they couldn't even put refugees there. That was being leased for $97,000 a month by somebody. Somebody owns it, and somebody knows a guy, and they're making money hand over fist on these people, and it's disgusting.
Somebody knows a guy is right. City of Chicago. Democrats. You look up Democrats in the Webster's Dictionary. The number 1 definition is criminals. And number 2 is political party. Now, the Democrats send mentally ill, crazy people to Congress all the time. They love doing that. Governor Greg Abbott is the governor of Texas, and he has taken matters into his own hands. Yesterday, he signed a bill making illegal immigration illegal. I know, it's already illegal, but it's a federal thing, and he made it illegal in the state of Texas, so now law enforcement in Texas can actually arrest people and charge them with being in the country illegally and don't have to wait for Biden and the Democrats because they lie all the time. Now, let's go to this Democrat member of the House of Representatives, Jasmine Crockett. We've got to go right to the, number 13. Here's Jasmine Crockett because he wants to enforce the law in Texas. Jasmine Crockett says he wants to kill all the people crossing our border.
When you look at somebody like Greg Abbott, my governor, and his solution is to basically say, hey, we're going to kill people that are trying to come in. Like, that's not a solution.
Yeah, that's what, she's a member of Congress. She should be sanctioned for that by the Democrat leadership, Hakeem Jeffries, but she won't be. He's a radical and an extremist himself. Maybe tomorrow we'll get into the Democrat homicide rate.